So we are back today with part two of Second Chances. As you guys know, yesterday we had me and my partner James was on. Today we have a special guest, somebody who never comes on camera, but if you know me, you know her somewhat. Today we have Camille on the camera. So everybody say hi to Camille. Everybody say in the room. See y'all background today, so just say hi to Camille.
Hi, Camille.
There we go. We still hear y'all. Yeah, awesome. Okay, y'all the audience today. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that, Rachel. Anyway, so yesterday we talked about second chances and about whether it's something that we needed. I kind of talked a little bit about my past, but I didn't know. So interestingly enough, I didn't know that you said earlier today that you got a second chance. So you want to talk about your situation and how? Don't you got to tell us about your situation per se, but let's talk about like how you felt when you found yourself in a space that you never expected. Let's put it like that.
Well, I was younger, and I was hanging around the wrong people.
Younger.
Much younger than I am now.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm kind of old now, but I was much younger, hanging around the wrong group of people, doing just things that I had no business doing, and I knew I had no business doing it because that wasn't the way that I was raised. My parents didn't raise me to go out and do the things that I was doing to get in trouble. But I did get in trouble, had to go in front of the court, the judge, and I just got a different outlook on life. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because I was locked up in jail and I was away from my daughter for about 10 days. And when I got out, we happened to ride by where I was in jail at. And my daughter looked up and pointed and said, "That's my mommy's house." And at that point, that's when I knew that I had to change my life because that wasn't a good thing for her to say.
She called the jail your house?
Yeah, she called the jail my house. It was awful.
Wow.
Because that was the last thing that she saw me go into and
jail.
Coming out, and she knew that her mommy had been gone for some days, and she, all she knew is, hey, that's where mommy stayed at.
And this is the reason why I was kind of hoping James would be on today, because this is always the issue that we have, is that we believe second chances are something that we have to, per se, we dividend, right? So second chances should be given over here, but they shouldn't be given over here. And my opinion is different, right? But I do it. It's very touchy. Definitely when I talk to mostly women. When I talk to women about like people who have been accused of like sexual assault charges or raping people, and we seem to think those kind of charges and those kind of places and those kind of cases are not worthy of a second chance. How do you feel like, from a woman's perspective, because most of the people who are affected by sexual assault cases are women, how do you feel about even those type of crimes of people deserving second chances?
Oh, goodness, Sean, you would ask me that. You know how I feel. That's very, very touchy to me.
Ready to jump on camera to talk about that.
I believe everyone should have a second chance if that's what they want. It's all about choices and the choices that you make. And if you did something wrong and you choose to take care of the situation, do what you need to get out of it, of course, I don't think that should be held against you because that's in your past. And we're living in the present and looking forward towards the future. So I wouldn't want anybody to make me feel less than because when I was younger I did things that I wasn't supposed to, because
Right.
Now I'm older and I know better and I want better, and it's all about the choices that I make.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I would say too. That's one of the things I would say too, is that I'm under the metaphor that you can't, like, everybody deserves a second chance. If the system allows for them to get back out and to come back into society, we have to make society to the point where we are open to actually being able to receive them. Because the moment we don't receive them, the moment we kind of throw them back out into society and say, hey, like, this is you and you have to figure it out for yourself, we kind of leave people in a space to where they have nothing else to do but to go back to what they know, right? And Ricky, of course you know Ricky Brown, like he's serious about that. What are some things that you think we could do in our community? And definitely in the African American community, because we're most impacted by incarceration, right? Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you think we need to do to make ourselves more accessible? Because it's funny, and most people don't even know this, and this is for everybody in the room. Interestingly enough, the most conservative race, do anybody know who the most conservative race is? Mm-hmm. What would you say is the most conservative race?
Hispanic.
Hispanic? Who would you say?
Or
Hispanic?
Chinese.
Asian
Asians,
community?
yeah.
The Asian community? It's African Americans.
Really?
African Americans are the most conservative block of group because they really are hard on things like gay marriage, and they're really hard on things like abortions. African Americans are really hard on those kind of things. And remember too, most people don't understand me because they see African Americans and they automatically equate us to the Democratic Party. We grew up really Republican. I mean, that's the party that we stuck with until they just, whatever, converted over. But the African American bloc is known to be one of the most conservative blocs. So a lot of times we're not even very welcome of our own back into our society. So what are some of the things that you think we could do to improve that?
It's going to start with the children.
What's up with y'all and these kids, man?
I
These
mean,
babies.
because they're our future, and we've got to start
For those who are
retraining
off
them.
camera, we don't need y'all calling from over there. Just go ahead.
We got to
Sorry.
start retraining them, to know that the choices you make affect you in life. And if you make the wrong choice, there's going to be a consequence, and that consequence can carry a long way. I've been in the work field for a long time, and it's just till the last maybe 10 years that people weren't looking at me different because of my background, because I have stuff on my background. It took for one person to look at me and say, I'm going to give you a chance, because I believe that you can change. I believe that you can be different. And if you want to make that choice to be different, then I'm going to give you a handout to help you. And that's what we just need to talk to these kids today. They need to know that it's all about choices. And the choice you make
Impacts you forever.
Exactly.
Yeah, forever, ever, PK, forever, right? No, but that's important. Like we really do have to, we really do have to focus on our kids. Like I think that's a big part of what's missing in our society is that we forget. Like whenever we lock up a mom or dad, that's a child. As you said, you was away from your daughter for 10 days, right? And you had a support system.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't have a support system. I remember when I was to be locked up. And for me, one of the hardest things in the world to see was that, like, I had a support system. Like, my family was there. I mean, I remember one time being locked up in Tallahassee, and my sister came all the way from Fort Lauderdale to Tallahassee to make sure she seen me and make sure she got everything situated before I took my road trip. And, but
Went on vacation.
I went on vacation. 14 months. But literally, like, I had a support system, right? I had people who put money on the side. I didn't have to ask nobody to borrow soap or anything. But there were people in there who literally, the moment they got charged with a crime, their family disconnected themselves from them, right? And the funny part was that I've probably seen 100 people who I would say I've known like that, and probably 20 of them went back and beat their case in trial, right? So it's just interesting. You know me. Like, I'm really big on the judicial system changing to the aspect that we make sure that we're rightfully prosecuting people, right? Because we have ruined lives of a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy right now sitting in, I think it's Kansas. I think it's Missouri.
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 Kansas City.
I think it's Missouri or someplace up north, but everybody has said that the guy's not guilty of the murder, the crime. Like, DNA evidence has come back. The DA's office has literally came out and said he's not guilty. But every judge he tries to go before denies his motion to get out of jail. And even the governor was like, well, he was tried by a jury of his peers, so we'll just wait to see what happens. But everybody, including the DA's office, has said, the state attorney of the state has said this guy needs to be released from jail. So it's like, once again, we have to understand that when we prosecute people and when we make a mistake, we can't give a person the one. I used to always tell people, like, y'all know these 5 love languages things they got out here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is quality time. The one thing you can never get back
It's time.
is time. And it's the inevitable of life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we talk about it all the time, like making sure you're not wasting your time talking to people who are not worthy of your time, making sure you're not giving energy to people who are not worthy of your time. But we got to understand, too, that when people have spent a year or 2 years, James mentioned the other day, there was a guy who had spent almost 10 years in prison, got released, and literally he got out, his family bought him a trailer, he found a nice, decent job, but the guy was so institutionalized that he went and stole a pack of gum from a store.
That sent him back.
And when the judge asked him, like, what the heck are you doing? He said, Your Honor, I can't survive out here. I want to go back. So it goes back to, second chances, I don't think start from the time that they get out, I think second chances need to start from the time that they get locked up, period. Like, there need to be programs in county jails. They need to, I mean, one of the things that the biggest problems in county jails or jail system, period, is mental health, right? They don't have the resources they need for mental health. They need to start rehabilitating people while they're in county jails and while they're in prison, because that way when they get out, they have something to look forward to. They need to keep them up to date on what's going on with technology, so that when they get out, they don't look at the world from when they went in, it was an 8-track, and now they're coming out their CDs, and now they're coming out in CDs. You don't even need a CD no more. I mean, how many cars do you know that have a CD player in them, right?
Yeah, mine doesn't.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, because you don't need it. You can Bluetooth your phone now, right? Being able to keep them up to date on what's going on around them, so that when they get out, they know what the world is, right? Because I think one of the biggest things for me is that it was like, when I got back, it was a shock, right? It was like, oh my God, phones do that now? You get what I'm saying? And I did kiddie time compared to what most people do. So, yeah, I was a thug. She looked at me like, you was a thug. Yeah, I was a thug. But I'm just saying, so in general, like, I think second chances start from the point of incarceration.
I believe that. I believe that they should start
Somebody
educating.
don't like what I just said. It probably was the baby.
Keep them educated while they're in. There should be classes that they can take. Get your GED. Don't just sit around and do nothing. Take advantage of the time that you're in there. It's a bad place to be, but take advantage of that time to do better, to get
Trust
better.
me. Hey, let me tell you something. People go in there with no waves, they come out looking like an ocean, okay? Because there's nothing but time. And but at the same time, when they get out, we have to have programs in place for the people to be able to get IDs, right?
Right.
That's a big thing. Even now, we have to have programs in place to where a person is restored their rights. And I'm not saying a person needs to have the right to carry a gun. That's a privilege to me, right? But everybody should have the right to vote. In some states, they actually send them ballots while they're locked up to be able to vote, right? Because, again, that's one of those things that if I'm a judge and I look at you as a person, right? Or as if I look at you as a person standing before me and I'm sentencing you, and I only got 6 more years on the bench, and I can sentence you up to 10 years, what obligation do I have to try to sentence you fairly when you have no right to say whether I can stay on this bench or not? And those are things we have to look at. And I'm one of those people who I do believe in restoration, right? I do believe that a person, when they serve their time, needs to get their rights restored automatically. I mean, it shouldn't be nothing they have to apply for. You took them away automatically, you can restore them back automatically. And those are things that we have to do, because the biggest voice you give a person in a democracy or republic, however you want to call it on Facebook, trust me, is the right to vote, right? And you lose that voice, you kind of lose everything. So a second chance is not only that, giving them an opportunity. In some cases, drug charges, you can't even apply for, what's that thing?
Student aid.
Student aid. You can't even apply
loans.
for federal student aid. You can't apply for food stamps. I mean, you can't apply for housing assistance.
Right.
So how do you expect that you take away a person's ability to get food, you take away a person's ability to get a job, you take away a person's ability to get a place to stay, and you say to them, but we want you not to return back to the place you just came from. This Mike don't like me, or somebody, or Rachel did something to it.
Yeah, that's giving them that's starting them out wrong already. So why wouldn't they want to go back and do whatever? Because they know when they were in jail, they had 3 meals and a cot. Always.
Nah, 2.5.
Okay.
That breakfast didn't count. I'm telling you now.
Well, 3 meals and a cot. They know they had somewhere to sleep.
Waking me up at 4
And they
o'clock
know
in the
they were
morning
gonna
says
eat.
breakfast time does not count.
They had a roof over
Like,
their
forget
head.
that. You know, I'm staying inside. I never ate breakfast, except for one day. Because they had grits. And that meat stuff with that gravy, it was the bomb. Don't know what kind of meat it was. But I don't
Call
have
it SOS. You know that, right?
I don't even want to know what
And you don't want to know what it stands for.
No, but seriously, all jokes aside, like, we have to, as a democracy, as a republic, we have to do better about making sure people have the second opportunity to get back into society and actually be, to become productive members of society. And I personally think that, I love what Ricky Brown says. Ricky Brown says all the time, we don't want to rob, we just want a job. Like, that's his saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that when we give people more opportunities, and when we give people the opportunity to go out and rehabilitate themselves, or to be rehabilitated within society, and when we train them while they're incarcerated to transition back to society, I think that we put them in a better spot.
Yes.
And I think a lot of crimes that we have too, everything doesn't need to go through. Everybody doesn't need to go to prison. Everybody doesn't need to go to jail.
I believe that.
There's things that but at the same time, if we're gonna have a system to keep them out, it needs to be a fair system, right? It
Yes.
doesn't need to be a privatized a privatized probation office or a probation office that's all about money, but the moment you miss one $80 payment for the month, you're already locked back in jail, and now you could be facing 5 years for missing $80, right? Those things have to be changed, and our system has to be changed. But a part of our system being rechanged is the people who we put in position of power. Their hearts have to be changed, and not all of them, because I know some really good judges, I know some really good DAs, I know some really good prosecutors, I know some really good attorneys, right? But that's very few. Right, even Zuri agrees, okay? And I got her name right, okay? I was about to call her Zari, it's okay, Zuri. But no, we just gotta make sure that, and that's what Black Push is all about. We're gonna do our part. I mean, I don't care what nobody else does, but we're gonna do our part to make sure men and women have a place to go, that they're given an opportunity, and that they have access to the things they need access to, because it takes all of us. It takes a village to raise a child, right?
That's right.
Isn't that what the old folks used to say?
Yep.
So we are honored and privileged to have had Camille on, and to thank you for coming and being willing to tell about yourself. That was pretty impressive. Give it up for Camille. Yeah, give it up for Camille, because she just never wanted to come on camera. But real quick, I just want to point out that we do have a few different things that are getting ready to go on. We have on August 13th at 6:30 p.m. we'll be having our one accord for all pastors and leaders. If you're a leader, if you're a ministry, or you're a pastor, we want to invite you out. If you want more information, you can call us here at the office at 678-202-4320. That's 678-202-4320. Or you can go to our website, www.blackpush.org. We also want to give a shout out to the labor union, because they're getting ready to host an event on Wednesday. What time is that event on Wednesday? It is on the calendar. You don't have to get up. I will look at it. But on next Wednesday, they'll be at the Chamber of Commerce, and it's called the Unemployment Workers Day of Action Rally. It will be from 10:30 a.m. and that rally will be at the Georgia Chamber of Commerce at 270 Peachtree Street Northwest, and we'll be marching to the Department of Labor. So if you can join us on that day to go out there July 21st, please come out and support. Anything else that's going on in the next month or so? That's it, pretty much. No more church announcements. But until next time, we'll be back tomorrow at 1:30, where we have a special guest who will be on our weekly podcast. And we just want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you, Camille. Thank you, technical people. And thank you, audience.
Zuri!
And we just want to thank everybody for tuning in.